guy. And then I'm being told by a lot of people he's just the best mid laner in the Prem. So I think this is going to be a really interesting matchup. An off-meta guy who plays a lot of weird stuff versus a guy who people are claiming to be the best mid laner, you know, in the Prem. So it's definitely a good matchup to watch.
Definitely an interesting one. Zoe going to be first ban. You mentioned the Vel'Koz,
okay,
immediately going to be taken away out of that one. So a lot of pink and purple being banned away to start this one off. And we'll see where Hyperion go next with this one. Because, I mean, Vel'Koz ban is not a standard start.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's difficult when you have someone who's playing weird things like Vel'Koz. Because do you really want to ban that one?
It's like when you play against Kerberos, right?
Yeah, play versus Kerberos, and we saw that against Wind and Rain as well, where they drew like echo bans and stuff like that. It's like, do you really? Is that part of your strategy? Or
well, it has to be, right? Because if you disrespect them with the pick that they have put so many hours into, who are very good at that particular thing, they can punish you for it, right? I always think that, especially in levels like this, it's better to get rid of a hero that you know someone's going to perform well on. Maybe force them onto meta things that you can deal with, and they might not be so practiced at it.
And honestly, it's not even necessarily about how good they are at the hero, but also how much you've practiced against them.
Well, I think if you ban Corki, you're looking to pick Galio.
You ban Corki, yeah.
So they got rid of the counter and then they set that up. So if you don't pick Jarvan on this side with the MnM, the Jarvan Galio combo is pretty crazy. Yeah. So which is quite smart here by Hyperion to be able to get that Galio and then threaten the Galio Jarvan, which is a great combo people love to run. So it kind of forces MnM into lose-lose, where if you pick Jarvan, they get Sejuani.
Yeah.
If you don't pick Jarvan, they get Jarvan.
Sejuani Galio is pretty good as well, you know. They've got plenty of options there. Interesting that we see a massive bot lane priority coming out from MnM here. You're going to get Jokerized and the Xayah, and you're going to give Camilius the Rakan. The Xayah-Rakan combo we know is very strong. Yep. But just interesting that is so heavily prioritized early on when there are those power picks left up.
It did get a little bit of a buff, right, going into 8.3, so...
Slightly, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a solid pickup, especially when you can get both of them together. But also, it doesn't really reveal much, right? Because they don't exactly lend to one specific playstyle.
Yeah, you're just giving a lot of power picks away. That's the thing.
Is a lot. This is a lot to give up in your first round of the draft to have Sejuani and Galio you're going up against. And you've already banned out Skarner and Zac, so Jarvan is usually the fallback after those three. But that's fine. I mean, you give them Jarvan. It's not really that scary, honestly. You can play into Jarvan pretty easily.
Yeah. And you already got the jungler that you wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
They're going to go for the mid laner, though.
You would imagine that's going to be a lot of jungle bans coming through here from Hyperion's side now. You can really pigeonhole Scudzy into picking something that he might not really want to play right now.
Like, you can ban Jarvan for sure.
Yep.
You can even ban... I know Elise isn't great right now, but Scudzy is a great Elise player, so it's Gangplank. Okay, that makes a bit more sense, because that might indicate a Galio top. You never know, because Galio top versus Gangplank is not great for Galio.
We'll have to see, as it's going to be a Braum ban coming out from MnM as well, so they're going to start to focus on Daejin a little bit, and Taric taken off the table as well as that. We'll see where Hyperion go with this last ban. I mean, there's not that much you need to focus at the jungle at the end of the day. The top 3 picks have been already taken off the board.
If you're okay, I mean, if you want to just ban Camille, if that's what you want to do, just get rid of, because they're going to get the first pick here, do you just get rid of a power pick like that? I feel like you could force Scudzy onto something he doesn't want to play, but at the same time, are you really afraid of Jarvan?
The Scion actually going to be taken off, so respecting that pick. I mean, we saw it do wonders in our previous game here tonight, so definitely a strong pick right now. We'll see where MnM decide to go. Obviously, still that Jarvan available for the jungle, or something like a Kha'Zix available as well.
I'd love to see Kha'Zix. I'd love to see Scudzy whip that out, but I'm not sure whether we will see it or not. There it is.
I think, yeah, you just stick to what's good right now and just solid in almost every situation, and Jarvan is definitely one of them. He combos nicely with Xayah, he combos nicely with Azir, sets up those areas where you can get people rooted, sets up a nice, almost like a death pit for the Azir soldiers as well, so it definitely works out.
And the Camille that we mentioned didn't get banned. Does mean that Hyperion are able to grab that for themselves.
Could be another Tahm Kench here. This has a huge presence in the Prem, and you've already banned Ozone supports.
That's a good pickup, I think.
Just as safe.
I like that. It's very good into Jarvan. It's really, really good.
Great into Azir and great into Jarvan in both cases. So a lot of it is going to come down to how well Daejin can disengage with this Janna, you know.
Absolutely.
I much prefer this from Hyperion compared to the similar lineup composition to what we saw from Governors, but they've added extra threats in the form of a split-pushing Camille. And that is going to force MnM to have an answer for Only Angel. But the multiple threats here means that it's not just reliant on the Ezreal, which is too reliant on the Ezreal for the Governors. Now they've got multiple ways. They've even got a way to focus that Xayah in the backline with the Camille. So it's a bit more multi-threat coming out from Hyperion.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, very similar draft to the Governors draft, but I mean, I'm just going to repeat exactly what you said. But I like that they have a bit more offense on that front there. You're not pigeonholed into a certain win condition, because it's very easy, if we, like we saw with the last game, if Ez didn't get ahead, bam, the book is closed before it's opened kind of thing. But at least this one gives a bit more leeway into how you want to play. You can play around that top lane a bit more, very easy to set up ganks as well. And then you can roam around, do some beautiful stuff.
And you can 1-3-1 with a double teleport coming out from Hyperion as well if you want to. You can always... Galio's so easy to respond from a side lane, even without teleport, because of his ultimate, you can respond from a side lane very quickly. Yep. So you can even 1-3-1. Galio's not the best 1v1 duelist, but if you match him up against Cho'Gath in the side lane, it's going to be a battle of slapping handbags for the most part. You know, you're just about clearing waves and pushing that in. And if you have someone in the side lane just clearing waves against a Cho'Gath and pushing him in, that's not a bad setup for them.
Yep, absolutely. And Azir takes a long time to get on board. So a lot of early in Hyperion's favor here. They can get stuff going. That's really what they're going to look to do this game.
Absolutely. It's definitely going to be one where Hyperion have to be active, have to make things happen. It feels similar to what we were talking about last game, where we have our blue side that need to be proactive, need to be making things happen, need to actually make that victory happen for themselves. Whereas on our red side, it's kind of more sit back, relax, play reactively more than proactively, and allow yourself to scale up towards the game.
If you build Xayah scaling, you get Azir to late game, you've actually got a huge amount of control from MnM in these team fights. You've got the Jarvan for control and negotiation. You've got Cho'Gath who provides great control too. If you can get to a point in these late game team fights where you are able to kite Xayah backwards, kite Azir backwards, but then keep the sustained damage up in a team fight, they actually out-damage what Hyperion bring to the table in the late game team fights. They just have to get their way through this massive engage potential, a massive CC train that will come out from Hyperion. If they can stop that wall with a brick wall like the Azir disengage, you get that Azir disengage down, Xayah and Azir reset, set the team fight up, the sustained damage comes through, you get Xayah to a point where she's shredding tanks as well. You've actually got a really good late game sustained team fight composition coming from MnM, and that is how they beat Diabolus. You know, they got to the late game team fighting, and that's where they shone. So definitely keep your eyes on that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to how explosive Hyperion's comp can be when it comes to picks and stuff. If you get the Camille engage or the Sejuani ultimate engage, whenever you have a Galio in your team as well, that adds the extra layer to an engage too. So you can start something and then Galio jumps in.
Kind of continues the engage, right?
And especially against Azir, who will just push you away. Oh, now suddenly you've got something else coming in as well. So that can be really, really hard for MnM to deal with, and if Hyperion does it well, it's going to be really fun to watch.
And you mentioned the Sejuani. I think Sejuani is one of the key picks that have made this kind of composition better than we saw from Governors, because you have that extra way to engage and get to the back line. You have that extra ability to push your proactive plays on the enemy team, because you didn't really have a solid engage coming up from Governors, where you've got Sejuani ultimate, you've got Sejuani Q, you've got the Galio on top of the Sejuani, you've got Camille looking to get a pick onto the back line. Lots of different ways that you can engage, and also got great counter engage with the Janna as well. So yeah, I mean, this is a really balanced draft, I think, but I think it's up to Hyperion to take the early game. If Hyperion can take the early game when they can snowball it, before Xayah and Azir hit their really late game sustained damage teamfight builds, then they can run away with this game. If it gets to the late game like we saw from MnM last time, you're just going to get to a point where MnM's finesse in these teamfights is going to be too much, I think, for Hyperion.
Yeah, I would argue as well, though, that MnM, if they play around bot side, Xayah Rakan, you can still do stuff in the early game.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's not just a pure, pray and hold on to a late game.
Yeah, definitely can be proactive. I mean, Rakan, one of the most proactive supports in the game, right? You can make so many plays with Rakan, so if they can play around that, honestly, it'll depend a lot on the Dragons as well. If we have a couple of Inferno Drakes early on in the game, that could kind of shift the paradigm in this one and maybe change things up. I think it's about time, though, that we jump on into this game. This one's going to be myself and Scoundrel talking you through the action, so thank you very much, Dan, for joining us there. But it's about time that we start things off here at Scoundrel. Hyperion up against MnM. So we've talked a lot about the compositions here. Let's talk a little bit about the matchups, because obviously we see Galio just about every game at the minute in that mid lane. How does the Galio-Azir matchup play out?
Well, it is tough for Galio going into any ranged matchup, right? Just like melee versus range is always going to be a difficult deal. And it's only going to get worse pre-6 because Sejuani will find it hard to gank him with that Emperor's Divide. There's lots of mobility on Azir. So it will definitely be a tough lane from Mr. Gun on this Galio, but Galio's tanky. He can sustain through that kind of damage. Azir doesn't exactly put out ridiculous damage in the early game. So he'll probably be able to survive, but it's definitely going to be tough. Tivity can look to take the advantage here. One of the things that I am worried about for MnM, and this is one of the things I was worried about last time, is that they've got Comet. So if, Tivity's looking to be aggressive in this early game against Mr. Gun. He's looking to be a little bit lane dominant in a way. Doesn't have Spellbook, so I think
it's the kitty cat.
Oh, it's the kitty. Sorry, Fairy. Yeah, so he's got Fairy, but it's the same thing. Like Fairy and Comet almost do the same thing, right?
Yeah, similar.
So he's looking to be lane dominant in this matchup with that Fairy. So he's airy. I don't know why I said Fairy. But you don't have the ability to go into a double teleport strategy like you can see from MnM, you see. That's one of the problems that I am kind of a little bit worried about for MnM. If they fall behind, you can get torn to shreds by a 1-3-1 if you start to fall behind in the mid-game.
Yeah, I mean, 1-3-1 is one of those strategies that is classically difficult to deal with if their composition is good at it and yours isn't. Because especially if you get in a situation where they grab a Baron or whatever, your wave clear stops mattering anyway. So things like the Azir stop being as effective as they were previously in the game. But let's talk about a couple of these other lane matchups as well. Let's talk about the top lane here. Oh, look at that damage onto Mr. Gun already.
Yeah, it's the lane dominance with the Aerie coming through.
But let's talk about Camille versus Cho'Gath here, because this isn't a matchup that we see as often. This is like a slightly borderline meta matchup right now. How do you feel this one pans out? Because Camille typically does pretty well against tanks.
Yeah, I feel like Camille in general should do fine in this matchup, realistically, as we see Jokerism going a little bit onto
raids.
But I think realistically, as this game progresses, depending on the build that Cho'Gath goes, I mean, if only Angel goes full tank and low damage, I feel like he's just going to get out-traded by Camille. That Triforce spike especially is going to be tough for him. He has got great sustain, though, so he will be able to sustain through this Comet Camille, which we sometimes see. Or is it Aerie Camille as well? No, Comet Camille.
Oh, Camilius is in a lot of trouble right now. Going to be able to blink himself away from this one. You twisted bait. One more auto. Jokerism grabs the kill. Camilius just about walking away. The healing potion ticking up, and Dajin's in a whole heap of trouble. No summoners to talk about. Jokerism gonna find himself 2 kills. Oh, actually, he just got one of them in the end. It was the Ignite for Camilius who grabbed the first kill.
That's not what you want to see. If you're going up against a Xayah Rakan bot lane, they get the lead, they're able to shove this wave in, you're going to lose a massive amount of experience from this wave as well. That is not what you want to see as an Ezreal Janna lane, because it is already a tough lane for you guys to actually push back against. There's a lot of pressure coming out from a Xayah Rakan lane. And now they're behind. Yeah. This is a lane that could snowball very easily for MnM, and if they snowball that bot lane, forget everything that we said about late game team fighting, because Xayah absolutely crushes if she gets a lead.
The thing is, if you're playing Ezreal and the first engage goes that badly, look at his items right now. You don't want to just buy mana. You want to buy the tier.
Exactly.
Right? You want to get that stacking, but he can't, and now he doesn't get any more damage. You're just in a straight-up worse situation than you were previously.
Oh, absolutely. You do not want to not get your tier on first back for Ezreal. And it looks like they're even setting up for potentially a gank here. There's no Tri-Brush Ward. Overextension from Hyperion again. They haven't got any summoner spells. They're going to wait for Jokerism to come in here. This is going to be devastation, and this is going to be snowballing this bot lane like crazy.
Yeah, well, we just mentioned how you could shut down the Ezreal early game. That's exactly what they want to do. Actually going straight onto Dajin, just going for the guaranteed kill. Easy ganks right now for Scudzy. Makes the play down in bottom lane. Jokerism is already terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. He's already picked up his Corefield's Warhammer. He's going to start to get very quickly towards what I assume is going to be an Essence Reaver first. Yeah. He's going to go for the Essence Reaver build, which is a little bit more late game focused on that Xayah. Yeah, this is, and if Scudzy continues to come down bot, I think this is going to snowball super, super hard.
Though, the counterplay coming on through. Tivity now will be the focus for Skedden, but they can't really make that one happen, unfortunately. Mr. Gun not really able to land the damage. Here we go, though, top lane. We've got a 1v1 going on. Dan almost going under tower range, but does keep just on the edge, bullying only Angel there. He's going to be forced back, but I think he'll be able to just use that teleport to get back in lane quite comfortably. He is 10 CS down already, though. It
is a matchup that's difficult for Cho'Gath right now, especially. So, you know, we talked about how the mid lane, I think, is going to be difficult for the Galio. The top lane is definitely going to be difficult for Cho'Gath. But if you're only Angel at this point, you see how well your bot lane is doing. You just literally build to survive.
You just chill.
You just clear wave, you build to survive. The one thing that MnM will have to have in the back of their minds, though, is that we don't want to lose to a Camille split push here. We don't want to have a top lane that can't clear waves efficiently and gets dove under tower. One thing that Cho'Gath always offers is in a tower dive situation, he's got a lot of true damage burst that comes from his ultimate. You always have to respect that. You always have to respect the damage that can come out from that too. So that is something that Dan will have in the back of his mind, and that might allow Only Angel a little bit of respite in these kind of scenarios.
Especially if Dan overcommits to a situation, ends up under a tower or something like that. The CC chain from a Cho'Gath as well as the damage can be quite scary. I'd quite like to take a look at the gold difference right now between these two AD carries. Those early kills and that assist, as well as the CS lead, could be absolutely devastating to those numbers. I mean, in terms of items, he's way ahead. I'm curious how much EU Twisted Fate has in his back pocket. We'll see if we can pull those numbers off in a minute.
I reckon it's only about 1,500 gold lead right now. I reckon that's about at least 800 in favor of Jokerism, so he's going to be hitting that first Titan spike a little bit quicker.
Take a look at where Skedden is right now. Wanting to make a play onto Only Angel. Don't think he's going to be able to just yet, but Only Angel will gradually push. That's one of the curses of Cho'Gath. If you use that E to try and harass, it will gradually, slowly but surely, push the wave with those Vorpal spikes. Here we go. Stun comes through. No, it doesn't. Only Angel. Beautiful.
Great flash. Yeah, great flash. But you're still building pressure here if you're Skedder. You know, you're able to just go to the mid lane, burn a flash on the Azir, go to the top lane, burn a flash on Cho'Gath. It's now about converting that. It feels like he's kind of given up on the bot lane to an extent, and I think some scenarios this is the case because you know how badly your bot lane is doing. If you go there, you might end up losing a 2 versus 3. You know, Scudsy's probably going to be spending a bit of time down in there in the bot lane himself. And with the bot lane's pressure, with that, just as you talked about before we got into game, because of how the Drakes kind of define how your sort of bot lane pressure becomes, it's infernal.
It's infernal, as is the lead for MnM right now. Scudsy going to be able to finish this one off comfortably. It's a nice early Drake. It's an early lead in this bottom side of the map. There's not been too much of a response for Hyperion just yet. And we were saying the Hyperion are the team that needs to be proactive. Now is the time as Skedden comes into this top lane. It's going to be Dan tanking this one, but in comes the heroic save from the Galio. Only Angel will go down.
Oh, they trade 1 for 1.
Skedden went down as well. That is bad news for Hyperion.
Yeah, but they are now committing very heavily to this top lane push on the turret. That's going to result in Scudsy being in position to respond. But with the minion wave built up and the fact you've got a Camille who's very good at taking it, you're actually going to see a first brick go over to Hyperion, which is a great response given how the rest of the map has gone for them. This top lane pressure has resulted in something tangible for them.
Absolutely. This turret in the mid lane might not go down just yet. We'll see. Tivity does have good turret damage. I think they will just about finish this one off. It will be close in terms of the wave, but they will be able to trade that tower at least. And Jokerism getting some good pressure on this bottom lane tower as well. Look, I mean, let's not forget how far ahead he is right now in this bottom lane. Just 2v2 they can pressure.
We're 8 minutes into the game and Ezreal has not been able to go back and pick up his tier.
That is not a fun situation.
That's not a fun situation at all. Like, you would have wanted to have back by this point. You want to start stacking up that tier. Here's that dive in the top lane. Like I said, it is difficult to dive a Cho'Gath. You just saw the true damage. He just feasted on that Sejuani. He got a huge amount of damage down onto her, and he actually managed to get a return kill. However, the first turret going down has given Hyperion a little bit of a boost in gold here. But we need to talk about the differences between taking the top lane tier 1 and the mid lane tier 1. Top lane tier 1 definitely opens up the potential for a lane swap. It also opens up the potential for you to sort of make more invades into the top side of red jungle. You get a bit more control of that Rift Herald area. But by taking mid lane tier 1, suddenly you have much freer access into both blue and red side jungle. It's a lot safer to try and land vision down as look at this.
There we go, Scudsy. Just going to be able to pull himself away. Continue.
You get openings into the blue and red side jungle. It's a lot safer for you to go and search for deep vision down there. You can look to control those opening camps, maybe try and contest blue buff a bit more often. So that's kind of what taking mid lane tier 1 does for you. It opens up a lot more of the map and makes it a lot safer for you to wander. And especially now that you're controlling the Drakes, it's going to make it a lot easier to set up counter Drake vision as well, knowing when the enemy team is trying to respond to it.
Absolutely. And one of the concerns right now for Hyperion, honestly, is the fact that in the bottom lane, there's... Oh, actually, we've got a fight going on right now. Daijin going to be the target. He's flashed forward. Jokerism gets himself a kill. Nice little bit of a play. 2v2 kills coming out now. That is really bad news for Hyperion.
Oh, incredibly bad news. And we just talked about how Jokerism can snowball this. Here comes Scudsy. There's no ward in that Tri-Brush, and it's up to EU Twisted Fate with just his flash available.
So little mana as well. That's not a good situation for Ezreal. Scudsy just waiting, biding his time here. He knows if he's patient, they can make a big play here. Skedden is around, though. This could be the comeback potential. This could be the opportunity. Here we go, though. Twisted Fate is going to be the target. Scudzy tanking the tower right now. Needs to just bail out of that one. Stun coming down. We talked about this one. It could be the opportunity. No mana on Twisted Fate, though. He can't make the counterplay.
No, and also, unfortunately, the ultimate landed onto Camilius. He still has that dash to get out of range, and the extended range on that dash to Xayah means that he's able to get out even more readily. And look at this. Tivity's going to continue this pressure against Mr. Gunn. Continuing to put pressure on this tier 2 turret. He's already about almost 20 CS up at this point in time, so he's starting to dominate that lane.
And the CS numbers is something I wanted to talk about a little bit there before that action kicked off, because you've got, obviously we've talked a lot about this bottom lane lead, right? That's a given at this stage. Jokerism is way ahead. In the mid lane though, we've got a big CS lead for Tivity on the side of MnM, but then up in the top lane, on the winning lane for Dan, the CS is like even.
Yeah,
and there's even a kill in the hands of Only Angel. So the leads are just about everywhere on the map, and Scudzy's not exactly fallen behind either. So we're actually getting into a situation where Hyperion don't have a lane that's doing well to fall back on.
And Tivity just showed exactly why that mid lane turret going down is going to be an issue for Hyperion. He's just farming those Raptors over and over again, Razorbeaks.
And he just makes that mid lane turret his own turret anyway.
Exactly.
It becomes your turret.
That becomes an area of the map that you control. So right now, you know, Hyperion have to be worried about their blue buff. They have to be worried about getting that defensive vision down. Like, this is 11 minutes in the game and you've got defensive vision in your red side jungle. That's what happens. It draws your vision line back. It makes you more defensive by nature, and that's going to allow MnM to rotate super nicely, especially around this bot lane, because you have more space to work with to make that those kind of dives happen. And also, you can see Skedden, he knows this is an issue. He's spending all of his time on this bot side of the jungle because he knows this is going to be the problem for them.
Yeah, and equally, Scudzy is in that bottom side of the jungle as well, hanging around the red buff right now, maybe wanting to make a play on that one. Mr. Gunn will be contesting, though. I think they'll get away with that one. Here we go. 1v1 between Dan and Only Angel here. Just about missing the E, though, so Only Angel gets away with that one. Here we go. Scudzy and Skedden. 1v1 right here. But Scudzy just going to be able to jump away as soon as Daijin arrives. Not going to be able to take the red buff.
No, a lot of committal from the Hyperion roster to defend that red buff. Scudzy will just back off, but it did draw pressure down to that red. It allowed Jokerism a bit more time for free farm in this bot lane. It drew Galio there too, allowing them to shove that wave in. So we've gone a bit quiet now. I reckon next Dragon up in 32 seconds. Don't know which Dragon it is just yet, but Skedden knows that this is going to be a major objective. He's going to want to be able to focus that and at least put pressure on this bot lane from MnM.
5-1 is the scoreline. This has been a very convincing early game for the side of MnM. Question is, can they continue to roll this one? Tivity could be in a lot of trouble here. Actually flashing away, but now he's in trouble. Emperor's Divide comes on through, and that will keep him nice and safe. 3 men committed to that, but no kills taken.
And this has allowed this bot lane duo that has been so dominant the time to put onto this pressure on this turret. Janna will be able to defend it as much as she can, and actually a great rotation coming out from
Skedden is coming on down into this bottom lane. Twisted Fate taking so much damage, though. Oh, Jokerism misattacked. He accidentally hit Daijin. We'll get the kill onto him, though. And now looking towards this mid laner. Mr. Gunn coming on through. Lands his Q onto Jokerism, but will not be able to finish off a kill. 3 members in the bot lane. This could well be a turret.
I wonder if they can even defend it. They don't have the Sejuani ultimate up right now, but the wave clear from Galio is very strong, so they're able to just clear those waves out. This gives Only Angel the opportunity to try and solo out Rift Herald, and you can see Azir in the mid lane continuing to push. The more time that Mr. Gunn commits to this bot lane to defend the tier 1, the less time he is going to have to clear the waves against that tier 2, and this should result in the bot lane tier 1 going down very, very soon for MnM.
Yeah, as well as that Herald, it's going to be a huge swing in gold in favor of MnM. Look at that. Gold lead just starting to rack it on up. Almost 4,000 in their favor. They're going to be able to get a Herald as well. Only Angel will grab that one for himself, so that will likely turn into another turret. Might well even just use that on the top just to finish off the tier 1s.
Yeah, exactly. You might actually throw that into the top lane, try and take out the Camille, and then shove down the top lane as you rotate your bot lane up, because they've taken that bot lane tier 1 now, so the obvious choice, even though a little bit later into the game, is to now put Jokerism and Camilius up into that top lane. You maybe then have Cho'Gath rotate up and use that Herald in the top lane with them to get a massive push going, and then he can teleport back down bot in a matter of seconds if he needs to. His teleport's probably up in about 1.5 minutes or so, so they've got a bit of time to work with.
He's just going to drop that Herald in the top lane and, and head down towards that bottom side of the map himself. He won't actually have his teleport available here, but I think just looking to make a play around that top side.
It achieves the same purpose. You drop the Herald now, then it pushes with that bot lane. Camille is going to have to face a bot lane with the Herald. She also knows that they're not going to let that Herald just do its own thing. Probably Scudsy's going to be in the area, which means that, honestly, DanXD here is going to have to be very careful. He has to be aware this is the case, and he is waiting in the sidelines.
Ooh, nice little jump to pull himself to safety there. Actually saving the blast cone on that one. Might be a mistake in the end, because Scudsy could use that to try and find an engage. Skedden is here as well. Recall being channeled for Dan, but Jokerism, he's way too far forward, all on his own. That ultimate, though, keeping him safe. Double kill for Jokerism. That was disgusting damage.
That is...
Oh, we're not done just yet. Tivity going to be able to get that Emperor's Divide. Triple kill for Jokerism. He's not done just yet. This is going to be a tier 2.
And yeah, and that's the Herald doing its job as well. Jokerism showing exactly why Xayah can snowball. And we talked so much about the potential late game from MnM, we forgot to talk about how ridiculous.
How they don't need the late game.
They don't need the late game because Xayah just snowballed out of control. I wish we could really go in depth about this game and about how certain things went wrong and all these kind of maybe micro decisions, but really what happened is this bot lane snowballed. The bot lane snowballed. Yeah. They eventually got a pretty late tier 1, but they got the...
Just look at the scores.
Yeah.
So you've got 9 kills on the whole team. 8 of them are in the bot lane. Got Dan making a play here alongside Mr. Gun. They get the taunt down, but the damage just isn't there right now. Jokerism will be able to walk away. So much used for Hyperion, but nothing gained.
It felt like it was a massive desperation play coming out from Hyperion right there to just try and get some sort of resemblance of a team fight win, but unfortunately all that has done is allowed them to lose a tier 2 in the bot lane due to the split push of only Angel on this Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath also going for a Righteous Glory, meaning that they have that ability to find these engages. That's going to allow them to capitalize on this Xayah if they come to a team fight situation, stopping anything happening before you get too tanky on that front line. DanXD's picked up his Triforce, but at this point, it's a little bit late. You no longer have a real laning phase against the Cho'Gath because you've already lost so much of this side lane to these rotations coming out from MnM. And look at Jokerism, he's gone Mercury Treads because he knows that he is such an important facet of this MnM roster at this point in time. He doesn't want to get locked up by that ridiculous amount of CC.
And I mean, look how much CC there is on the other side, right? Just keep yourself safe. I mean, you understand the logic, right? You don't need any more damage.
10k gold lead at 17 minutes right now for MnM. This is actually just pretty ridiculous. And like we said, I wish I could say something fancy, but this has just been a ridiculous bot lane snowball. But it has been orchestrated very well. Yeah. And it was all orchestrated by Scudsy returning to that bot lane after that first gank. He blew both the flashes. It was a 2 versus 2 that actually resulted in Jokerism getting ahead in the bot lane. Massive mistakes by Twisted Fate and Daijin early on. Maybe they thought that they could take that fight, but unfortunately just couldn't. And Scudsy returning there really capitalized on what was, at that point, a very small snowball, turned it into a big one, and now it's an avalanche. And Jokerism is the guy riding the surfboard on the front of it because he's I should just say snowboard really, but I'm just going to go with surfboard.
I mean, I'm still with you, mate.
Yeah. He's
hang loose, bro.
He's really strong, and they've been playing around the rotations of Jokerism as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're in a situation where everything's slowed down just a little bit because MnM have to decide what to do next. The only towers remaining for them are inhibitor towers, which are very difficult to crack, especially this early in the game. But Baron will be spawning in 1 minute and 15 seconds. That could well be the next port of call. How do they set up for that? What is the play to make sure that they can net themselves that objective?
Well, they've got great control around their own jungle entrances because their mid lane tier 1 is still up, so they can look to push a bit of offensive vision into the blue and red side jungle of Hyperion. Make it obvious that you're setting up for Baron, right? This is the funny thing about where MnM are right now. Obviously, it'd be great to sneak it, but if you really want to capitalize, make it obvious that you're setting up for Baron. Go in, clear vision, start to group your team up around the Baron pit area, and then force MnM to come towards you and try and find a team fight. Yeah, sorry, Hyperion to come towards you and try and find a team fight. You've got Azir on the top side of the map. He doesn't have teleport. That should be strikingly obvious that he's the one that will be rotating to Baron if he has to come out of a side lane. What they're also potentially doing is a 1-3-1 here, but here comes the engage potentially as Hyperion desperately search for some sort of way to gain an advantage in this game.
Yeah, no chance on that one to quite collapse. Tivity, a little bit separated from his team, but I think he's going to be just about all right. Mr. Gun trying to find that duel, but it's just not going to happen for him. And now Baron up in 10 seconds, and MnM are positioned perfectly. Only Angel down in this bottom lane, but he's got his teleport available. He'll be able to join that fight if a fight does occur. And if a fight doesn't occur, it's going to be a free objective for MnM.
Yeah, Mr. Gun should head down towards that bot lane to start to clear things out. He does have his teleport available. Here we go.
Dan goes on in, as does Mr. Gun, but they don't quite find their target. Scudzy jumping onto the front line. The teleport has come out from Only Angel. They want the fight, and they're going to be able to find it. Huge AoE coming out from Jokerism. It's 1 kill for each of the MnM carries, and Dajin now going to be the next target. He's going to be falling in just a matter of seconds. It's EU Twisted Blade.
Oh,
the last man remaining. There's the Shurima Shuffle, and there's the ace coming through. Tivity with the play.
That might just be game. That might just be a 20-minute and 35-second sealing of the victory here for MnM.
Nigh on perfect game as well. Just a single turret and a single kill given up. They're not going to be able to end it just yet, but they're going to be happy taking 2 inhibitors and a bot lane inhibitor to boot. Byron's about to spawn. This is one of those games where you never want to say that the game is over, but I don't see how you ever come back as Hyperion.
No, I mean, they potentially could have gone for a fight around those Nexus turrets and actually got the win, but this is a safer way of approaching it for MnM. I got a little bit ahead of myself there, but it definitely, just given the statement of that team fight,
good as, right?
It was as good as winning the game from this point forward. You've hit, I mean, look at the item spike differences. Yeah, okay, you've got Iceborne Gauntlet, but you haven't even got your stacked random unit at this point from Ezreal. You're a long way off of that because you delayed your tier by a significant margin. And when it comes to critical strike item spikes compared to Ezreal's, you are way ahead on the critical strike item spikes coming out from Xayah. Infinity Edge and Essence Reaver are 2 very expensive items to get your hands on. They are high power spikes for this particular AD carry, and you would combine that with the static shift too. Jokerism is leaps and bounds ahead.
Well, let's just 14,000 gold lead.
Yeah, at 21 minutes.
Like, that's all that you need to say. 14,000 gold lead.
Just do Baron now. Like, the worst thing that you can risk is a steal, so you just try and engage when they push onto you. But
I mean, I think you could comfortably, as an MnM right now, I'm pretty sure if you grouped up, you could comfortably take out both Baron and Hyperion at the same time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Baron would be like a sideshow for you. Probably even better phrasing as Hyperion would be a sideshow for you at this point because Jokerism is just so far ahead. All relevant summoners are up, though, for Hyperion if they wanted to try and dive Jokerism, but Xayah is just a very difficult AD carry to dive. She has her ultimate, which makes her unique in the way that she kind of has a free escape.
All right, Skedden wants a way in. He wants to try and steal, but it's just not happening right now. That's going to be the Baron taken very comfortably for MnM. And Scuttlecrab was taken. Hyperion knew it was happening. There was just nothing that they could do about it. Empress Divide questionably used their Vitivity, but they are still going to be able to just barrel on forwards. They've got the Baron buff to push in towards this final inhibitor.
Yeah, and they just need to wait this out because look at the bot lane. Super minions pushing onto those Nexus turrets. They don't even need to do anything fancy here. They can just let the minions run their course.
Well, I think this might just be an inhibitor right now. MnM going to be able to take the turret. Hyperion going to find the engage, going to look to try and get a miracle play. In comes the Galio ultimate, but 3 are already dead before the fight's even begun. Or it was 2, actually. I can't count, but it doesn't really matter. It's going to be the inhibitor going down. Only Angel flashing forward, doesn't find anything, but it's about sending a message. Now, those Nexus turrets are going to be dropping. This is going to be the game. Only Angel just desperately trying not to be the second death for his opponents right there. 1-16. A 17,000 gold lead, and MnM take a comfortable victory.
If you wanted to show how dominant you